Bret Bielema, Year 2. Mark Rogers TV running through every Power 5 conference schedule for 2014. We've almost made our way through the entire SEC. We go to the bottom of the barrel of the SEC Western Division, a program that was on a high in 2010, going to the Sugar Bowl after a 10-2 regular season, and then Bobby Petrino messed around, and this program has been basically a mess ever since. Bielema paid the big money to clean it up, and in year 1, he failed to do so. At 3-9, 0-8 in the SEC, not much was expected, and he did not deliver much. Let's look at year 2 with a toughie right out of the gate. Does he get much tougher than this one? On the plains at Auburn against the SEC champion and a team that came within just a whisper of the national championship with the Auburn Tigers. So Arkansas starts out with just about as tough a game as you could possibly imagine on the road, and trying to gain some confidence, probably not going to happen in the opener August 30th. Then Nicholls State, so they get the typical cupcake early in the season non-conference in their home opener September 6th, Arkansas taking on Nicholls State. Then here comes the tough non-conference matchup. I like this matchup, both from a standpoint of watching the game and then also in terms of strategy. Arkansas cannot recruit just in-state and expect to compete in the best division in college football. The Hogs have to go national. They definitely need to go regional. They've got to go to Louisiana and Florida. Picked up Alex Collins out of Florida, their best running back. They also have to go to Texas, and they're playing at Texas Tech in Lubbock. They will be a significant underdog in that game. The Red Raiders lost their final 5 regular season games last season after a 7-0 start, but they rebounded in a game that completely took me off guard and knocking off Arizona State easily in the Holiday Bowl. So the Red Raiders coming off that high in Cliff Kingsbury's first season there at 8-5. Then don't look pissed this game, Hogs fans. If you got Northern Illinois at home, Northern Illinois has been one of the close to BCS buster teams over the last 2 seasons. Well, they did bust the BCS and get to the Orange Bowl against Florida State 2 years ago, and losing to the Seminoles, I believe, 34-10 in that game. Almost got back before they lost the MAC championship game last season. So Northern Illinois at Arkansas, the Hogs cannot sleep on that one, and if they want to have any shot of getting to postseason play, have to win that game. I don't know what the point spread is going to be on that game. Without Jordan Lynch, the phenomenal quarterback at Northern Illinois, he's gone and moved on. I would expect Arkansas to be a slight favorite. They are at home. They do have SEC caliber talent in certain spots on the field, the front 7 on defense, the offensive line, and in the running back position. Northern Illinois, though, tough, very tough. So that's gonna be not a toss-up game. The Hogs decided favorite, but they can't sleep on that one. Okay, now into the heart of the SEC schedule. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. All right, that's a 3-game stretch that's extremely tough. They've got Texas A&M in Arlington, Texas. Excuse me there. So that's kind of a home neutral site game. Again, at Arlington, Texas, at Cowboy Stadium against Texas A&M. They've got Alabama at home, Georgia at home, basically in Little Rock. Then they've got a softie with UAB, softie in quotes, nothing easy for the Hogs these days. Mississippi State, LSU, Ole Miss, another stretch where they need to steal a game against somebody. We talked about this in analyzing the Kentucky schedule for 2014. The Wildcats coming off 2-10. Arkansas has got to find a couple wins in the SEC here. Where are they going to find these wins? Again, Auburn on the road to start it out. Then they're out of conference for 3 games. Then they come back with a 3-game stretch that's just about as tough as it gets. Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. And just one of those games technically at home. Well, they've got the game at Little Rock against Georgia. Can they steal one of those games? I would think the shot would be against Texas A&M. Even with Johnny Manziel on the field, they gave A&M quite a game into the 4th quarter last season. Then they've got the game against UAB. Then another tough 3-game stretch with Mississippi State, who they took to overtime at home last season, but they've got to go to Starkville this year. Then they've got LSU at Fayetteville. And despite LSU's strength and power and speed and elite talent and Arkansas being so down last season, They took the Tigers to task and almost pulled off the upset at Baton Rouge before the Tigers, of course, with Anthony Jennings at quarterback, went 99 yards to win it. And then Ole Miss at home. Then they've got the new division, non-division rivalry game against Missouri. So, SEC fans, you well know that LSU and Arkansas has been that last game of the season on that Friday after Thanksgiving for a long, long time. But now it's Missouri. It's Missouri being the Arkansas opponent, non-division, that non-division rivalry game. It's Missouri, so that's going to be an extremely tough game to win. They should be a decided favorite, although we're talking about the 12th game of the season. Who knows what's going to happen at that point. But at this point, Missouri's a huge favorite at home against Arkansas. So where do they steal the wins? Well, unfortunately, we talk about the non-division games being huge. Who do you play non-division? Because that's what it comes down into the SEC. Who do you play non-division? Because the division games are exactly the same. Then you play two completely different division games, non-division games, versus your division rivals. So again, Alabama, for example, is playing Tennessee and Florida, two teams that went a combined 4-12 in the SEC last year, versus like an Auburn, who has to play South Carolina and Georgia, two 11-5 teams combined in the SEC last season. So for Arkansas, those games are Georgia, ouch, only 5-3 in the SEC, but ravaged with injuries. The Bulldogs will be a top 10 type team, top 10 or 15 next season. And then the newly formed non-division rival in Missouri. So that's not a break for the Hogs and Bret Bielema in year 2 in taking on, again, non-division games against Georgia and at Missouri against the Tigers. Wow, it's tough to find a victory in this, but I cannot imagine the Hogs going 0-8 again in the SEC, but I cannot pinpoint a win. I think the games that they have to zero in on to possibly get a victory would be Ole Miss late in the season at home, would be the second SEC game, Texas A&M, neutral site, Arlington, Texas. Technically, that's a road game, but it's kind of a neutral site game, so they catch a bit of a break not having to go to Kyle Field for that one. Non-conference, Arkansas has to go 3-1. It's going to be very difficult. Got to win that Northern Illinois game. Winning at Texas Tech's probably a 30 to 40% odds of winning that game. I would expect Texas Tech to be around a 10-point, 14-point favorite, something like that, at home. We will have a further preview on Arkansas football as we get into fall camp and predict the number of wins that Bret Bielema will follow up this season after going 3-9, 0-8 in the SEC. Now, Hogs fans, need to hear from you on your Arkansas Razorbacks schedule of 2014 right here on Mark Rogers TV.